playoffs, but you think you need that little boost to win it all? Well, we hope we've got your help for this coming week. Hey, how are you? Jason Horowitz with you on this edition of the Chase Fantasy Football Series, exclusively on CBS Sportsline. It's Roster Trends, and for all the moves, we bring in CBS Sportsline senior fantasy writer Dave Richard via satellite from Miami. And Dave, at this point in the season, there are backup fantasy players and backup NFL players who become fantasy players, and that's what we're going to take a look at right now. A couple of quarterbacks that are going to play this weekend. Give me the value for Tim Rattay and Derek Anderson, Dave.
Well, Anderson throws a nice tight spiral. I'm not sure he's going to do well in the touchdown department, but he's a guy Cleveland's taking a long look at. Not 100% sure if he's going to start this week, but he is playing for his job next year. The guy that really caught my eye right away is a guy who's been around the NFL for a while, and Tim Rattay. He was really willing to let the ball go deep against Chicago. Threw a couple of nice deep balls. I know Joey Galloway and Ike Hilliard didn't mind that. And Rattay's a guy who's got potential to throw for 250 yards, 2-3 touchdowns. Interceptions are going to be there with this guy. He is a gunner, but he is playing for a job next year, so he is looking to put up some stats. I'm in a league where I'm in the championship next week. My quarterbacks are Matt Leinart and Trent Green. This is a league where I've got LJ and LT and Jamal Lewis. Jason.
Oh, that league,
You might remember hearing something
league
about that league. Well, I might end up starting Tim Rattay. I'm going to pick him up, and I'm going to wait and see during the week whether or not I want to use him or Leinart against San Francisco. That's a pretty good matchup, too. And, of course, I like Leinart's receivers a lot better, but that's an example of a time that you would want to put Rattay in because you've got some questionable quarterbacks.
All right, we'll get back to LT and LJ in a sec, because something on this show that we're going to talk about involves those two guys. But let's talk about other running backs that are backups that you may want to look at for this week. Ron Dane, Moelde Moore, who had a big game out of the backfield as far as receiving goes, and Vernon Morency, who may be a third down back for Brett Favre and the Packers. How about backups that you may want to take a look at? Ronald Curry, a couple of weeks in a row where he has had good games, and this week he gets the Kansas City Chiefs at home on Saturday night. And Roddy White, a huge game for the Falcons. But, Dave, that's the guy I want to talk to you about, because he has been maligned in Atlanta for dropping footballs and not getting open and being a first-round bust. Why on earth would you take a chance after just one good game on Roddy White this week?
Well, you know what? There's a lot of wide receivers out there that have under-delivered all year. Randy Moss is a perfect example. And some people, they don't have a lot of wiggle room right now at wide receiver. They might be platooning between a Randy Moss and a Santonio Holmes. Again, I'm talking about myself in this championship league. If I look at my waiver wire and I see Roddy White out there, he's a guy that Vic's going to have to throw to. Carolina is definitely a team that can be thrown against at this point in the season. White is one of those sleeper guys. I like Ronald Curry better. He's the number one guy in Oakland now. Randy Moss is sidelined. Jerry Porter's in the doghouse. Alvis Whitted broke his wrist. Who is Alvis Whitted anyway? Ronald Curry, especially in leagues where receptions count, that's the guy you want to have on your team if you can pick him up as a number 3 receiver.
Well, one of the guys that they may throw out there, Johnny Morant from the practice squad, my alma mater, Syracuse. All right, Dave.
And he's good.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't go that far. All right,
I'm not buttering you up. He's good.
No, well, he's not. All right, Dave, that's all the stuff for this weekend. Let's look ahead to next season a little bit. And, you mentioned LT and Larry Johnson. They're going to be certainly be the top 2 picks across every board. But you guys did a poll down there of who's going to be 3rd pick next year fantasy-wise. This year, it was Shaun Alexander was in that mix. We've got the poll up there right now as far as what people think, and 27% pick Steven Jackson. Take me through this poll as far as what you think should happen, as far as who you actually think should be the 3rd pick.
We talk to a lot of people, a lot of fantasy players, a lot of fantasy gurus, a lot of NFL gurus. They agree with this poll. Steven Jackson, I said pool. Steven Jackson is definitely going to be the number 3 guy off the board next year. After that, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens at number 4. The veterans of fantasy football might not let Shaun Alexander get past number 4, so he would go there. New players and guys that like to take a chance, they'll take a Frank Gore or Willie Parker there. And in leagues where quarterback play is huge, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, both of them real contenders to go 4th overall.
All right, so that's the top of the draft board. What about the bottom of the draft board? And you guys have come up with a list of sleepers, and this is going to go throughout the rest of the offseason. But let's take a look at the list of sleepers that you guys have right there. And it's quarterbacks, wide receivers, and running backs in that order. And Jason Campbell's up there. J.P. Lossman's up there. We'll go through some of these here, but Vincent Jackson at San Diego. And then the 2 running backs at the bottom, Brandon Jacobs and Michael Turner. A couple questions here, Dave. I want to start with the quarterbacks because you have Matt Schaub up there as well. What were you guys going there with Matt Schaub? Is it Michael Vick getting hurt and you want insurance, or you think Matt Schaub is actually going to see the field as a starting quarterback next year?
I think Matt Schaub could be a candidate to be traded to another team for a top pick and be their starting quarterback in 2007. This is a guy that I've been hearing about. Gil Brandt led me on to Matt Schaub long before he was drafted in the league by the Falcons, and Atlanta really likes what they have in him. You've seen him on the field. He's done some good. He's done some bad. He needs some time to really develop. I think Schaub could be a guy in keeper leagues, could be a good late-round pick next year. Of course, anything can happen during the offseason. If Schaub goes to Oakland and Oakland rebuilds their offensive line, don't look out now, but Schaub's going to be a guy you're going to want on your fantasy team next year.
And you also had Michael Turner on there. Are you looking for the same type of situation for him as well? And he's a free agent, right?
Yeah, that's right. He's a free agent at the end of the year. He could go somewhere and be a starter next year. He's proven over the last 2 years that he's capable of carrying the ball, whether it's 10 times in a game, 20 times in a game, can work on special teams. He could be a real asset. He should have a big payday this offseason, and I don't think it's going to come in San Diego because they got that LT guy down there. I don't think they need the MT to go with him.
Well, you never know, though. Liddell Betts did sign 5 years to stay with Washington behind Clinton Porter, so 1-2 punch is always good. All right, Dave, plenty more of that to come as people look for help for next year, but for now, we'll get back to you real soon for your Week 16 best starts and best sits. We'll see you soon, Dave. All right, folks, that'll do it for this edition of Roster Trends, but don't forget, starting Wednesday, December 20th, Dave Richard back to help you pick your starts and sits for your playoffs or your Super Bowl. Until then, I'm Jason Horowitz. Take care.